Hello everyone, welcome to the Autring. For the first time this Congress, the Senate started debating voting rights legislation on Tuesday, a day after Democrats failed to meet their hopeful, symbolic deadline to pass an election reform bill by Martin Luther King Jr. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer opened debate on the House-passed Voting Rights Bill, a combination bill wrapping in both the Freedom to Vote Act and John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act on Tuesday afternoon. But Democrats needed 60 votes or the support of 10 Republican senators, which they didn't have, plus all 50 of their own to overcome a GOP filibuster on the legislation and end debate, making way for the bill's final passage. All 50 Senate Republicans are opposed to this bill. The American people deserve to see their senators go on record on whether they will support these bills or oppose them. Indeed, that may be the only way to make progress on this issue, Schumer said on Tuesday. And if Republicans choose to continue the filibuster voting rights legislation, we must consider and vote on rule changes that are appropriate and necessary to restore the Senate and make voting legislation possible. The bill at hand would make Election Day a federal holiday, expand early voting and mail-in voting, and give the federal government greater oversight over state elections, and would come at a time when nearly 20 states have restricted access to voting fueled by false claims in the wake of the 2020 election, according to Brennan Center for Justice. Quoting the late civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Schumer acknowledged that Democrats have an uphill struggle to pass voting rights legislation, but said they should keep moving and keep fighting in the face of inevitable defeat this week. Win, lose, or draw, members of this chamber were elected to debate and to vote, especially on an issue this vital to the beating heart of our democracy as voting rights. And the public is entitled to know where each senator stands on an issue so sacrosanct as defending our democracy. He also seized the spotlight to slam Republicans for continuing to block Democrats from passing the legislation last year and addressing the American people from the Senate floor as the GOP has, quote, regressed. The Republican Party used to be that who supported voting rights. Presidents Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush worked to renew voting rights bills, Schumer said. Now, sadly, unfortunately, this is Donald Trump's Republican Party. McConnell on Tuesday, speaking first for Republicans, slammed his colleagues across the aisle for characterizing the Senate filibuster as a, quote, Jim Crow relic, while Democrats argue the procedural tactic is being weaponized by Republicans to prevent federal voting protections largely to minorities. Quote, this is about one party wanting the power to unilaterally rewrite the rule book of American elections, McConnell said. Democrats have been pushing the same policy changes in the same chicken little rhetoric since 2019, he added. The Democratic leader's effort to break the Senate long predates the latest pretext. Too many of our colleagues across the aisle still want to respond to a 50-50 Senate with a rule-breaking power grab. Those voting to break this institution will not be a free vote or a harmless action, even if efforts fail, McConnell continued. An unprincipled attempt at grabbing power is not harmless just because it fails. Voting to break the Senate is not cost-free, just because of a bipartisan majority of your colleagues have the wisdom to stop you, end quote. To go at it alone, Schumer said that he will move to challenge the chamber's filibuster rule with a simple majority vote, and aides say that rules change proposal will come as early as Wednesday. Schumer on Tuesday also filed a cloture bill setting up the 60-vote threshold filibuster vote for later this week. It is still unclear exactly how Democrats intend to change this filibuster rule. Schumer didn't lay out the specifics Tuesday on what his plans are on possible changes to the filibuster when Republicans block the voting rights bill as they're expected to do. Senate Democrats are scheduled to meet Tuesday evening ahead of an expected vote Wednesday to try to change the filibuster rule. Senator Tim Kaine, a key negotiator in voting rights talks, told ABC News last week that it will likely amount to a one-time change to the rule or a carve-out by lowering the threshold to end debate on legislation from 60 votes to 51 votes. In theory, Vice President Kamala Harris, as President of the Senate, could serve as Democrats' tie-breaking vote, both to quash the filibuster and eventually pass the voting rights bill. Thank you all so much for listening, and for further updates, please stay tuned to the Autring.